On Donald Trump's very last day in office, he wanted to do something to really stick it to Venezuela because Venezuela is obviously one of the most hated targets of conservatives here in the United States. There's really no clear reason why. They just hate Venezuela. So Donald Trump goes and he issues some sanctions against Venezuela, specifically against their state-owned oil company and a lot of individuals associated with that state-owned oil company. Unfortunately for all those involved, they did this kind of hastily. Putting these sanctions on. They didn't really think them through, and they sure as hell didn't vet anything with these sanctions, because after he signed this order, a pizzeria owner in Italy by the name of Alisandra Bazani found out that his accounts had been locked because he had been sanctioned. This little guy that owns a pizzeria, his accounts had been sanctioned by the government of the United States. Why? Well, because there was a man by the name of Alisandro Bazani that was supposed to be sanctioned as part of Donald Trump's sanctions for his involvement in Venezuela's oil company. But they didn't take the time to check and see which Alisandro Bazani they were slapping sanctions on, so they just literally slapped sanctions on every Alisandro Bazani they could find. Because these weren't the only ones either. Apparently, also in Italy, there was a graphic designer, and you guessed it, by the name of Alisandro Bazani, and he also found out that he had been sanctioned by the United States government thanks to Donald Trump's sloppy executive order. This, again, was on his last day in office. And, of course, for these individuals, it's all been sorted out now. So good for them. Your little pizza parlor is no longer sanctioned by the U.S. government as somehow being an enemy of the United States. Your graphic design company is no longer an enemy of the United States. But, my God, the incompetence displayed with this executive order is absolutely breathtaking. And it is a fitting last gesture from the parting Trump administration. Because again, this was his last day. This was like the last thing the dude did in office before, I think, pardoning Steve Bannon. And the last thing he does is such a cluster F, such a kerfuffle, such a boneheaded move that it results in just average, everyday, literal mom and pop business owners over in Italy being screwed over by Donald Trump. That's the legacy of this man. No forethought, no follow-up, no real competence of any kind to speak of. And every problem with this administration, every idiotic thing that we accuse them of, all of it was on full display with this final act where poor little Alisandro Bazani's all over the world got themselves sanctioned because Donald Trump is a complete moron.